Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto, and today guys we're taking a cheeky look at Vechain and specifically the bull cycle begun, Chris.
I think it might have.
You think it might have, absolutely. So Vechain technicals are suggesting that the bull cycle has begun. Let's we'll get into this and see exactly what's going on. It's all looking very bullish from Vechain. So we're going to have a look at what this particular piece of analysis is telling us. Then we're going to get into our charts and see what we can see there as well. So if you do find this video useful, informative, go ahead and hit that like button. We really both do appreciate it. And of course, if you're new to the channel and not yet subscribed, do consider subscribing. It is free and you will be kept up to date with all the Vechain news and events that are going on here. And we do just try to keep everyone up to date on most cryptocurrencies that we're invested in. So yeah, why not? Chris, anything you want to add, or should we just jump straight over to the desktop and see what's going on?
My biggest bag. Let's get straight into it. I love it. Let's do it.
It's one thing that's for certain, guys, is a Vechain video and some Vechain news will always bring a smile to Chris's face. So, always. So, Vechain technicals suggesting a bull cycle has begun. So, VET looks ready to catch up with the market after breaking out of a multi-year consolidation pattern. So, Vechain VET price has risen more than 50% in the past week after a retest of the crucial support level. The downside seems to have been the last opportunity for sidelined investors to potentially buy VET at a discount. That is juicy discounts, Chris. I guess January and February have been quite lucrative on some fear. I mean, there's been plenty of fear for sale. So yeah, I've been getting a few bags of VET, Chris. So I know you're probably haven't been because you're so stacked already.
My bag is full, overflowing.
But the buying pressure, if it continues mounting, this altcoin could rise by 1,500% in the future. And I like the sound of that, and I bet you do too. So Vechain has rebounded from a critical support barrier after a market-wide correction saw its price drop by 46%. Now, VET seems primed to resume its upward trend to all-time highs. Okay, awesome, it's got my attention. Let's see what else is going on. Vechain enters a new bullish cycle. Vechain broke out from an inverse head and shoulders formation on February the 9th, following a 2-year long consolidation period, slicing through the 3.5 cent resistance level marked the beginning of a new bullish cycle on the altcoin's trend from a technical perspective. Indeed, the distance between the pattern's head and neckline projects that Vechain is primed for a 1,500% rally. So that's really cool. And we'll probably draw out what 1,500% looks like. Anyway, the recent retest of the underlying support has strengthened the bullish outlook. Now VET could see its market value rise towards 56 cent as forecasted by the inverse head and shoulders. And it's not 50 cent, Chris, is the target that we've been talking about for quite some time, isn't it? It's the target that we've had in mind. Obviously, there are people talking about $1, maybe even like $2, right? And those things are definitely possible. There's no reason why they can't happen. But I've always said I want to see 50 cent get hit first. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens here as it moves forward. And Vechain faces only one critical hurdle on its way up before it re-enters price discovery mode. Moving past late February's all-time high of 6.3 cent will further validate the optimistic scenario. If this occurs, the Fibonacci retracement indicator suggests that the next considerable areas of interest will be at 17 cent and 63 cent, and absolutely, I get that. So it's worth noting that Vechain must continue trading above the head and shoulder neckline at 3.5 for the bullish outlook to remain intact. A sudden bearish impulse that breaks this support level will increase the odds of a steeper correction. So we do have to bear that in mind. Under such unique circumstances, a VET might dive towards the 78.6 or even the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement levels. And these support barriers sit at 2.8 cent and 1.5 cent respectively. So I wouldn't be opposed, Chris, to a 1.5 cent Vechain. because I want to stack my bags even more. But let's take a look at this, right? That's not what you guys want to hear. You've all got your bags nice and packed, and I was a bit late to the party, so let's just assume that we're going to go to the upside. But let's take a look at our charts here. This is a VET to the USD on the daily to start with. Obviously, I have got a Fibonacci retracement. Now, my Fibonacci retracements are more short-term, okay? And I use these just to kind of give us a little bit of an immediate kind of price action to see if we can hit some areas. Now, everyone else, in the wider space, they'll probably be taking it from like down here, for example, the low level to the most recent high level, and then they'll have some nice high price targets to be hitting. I'm not a big fan of doing it that way, but I much prefer to kind of just have these shorter little rallies, and that way I can kind of have something to stick to. So I'm going to keep it to the way I would normally work. I'm just going to just quickly undo all of that so that I get that back in the right place. There we go. Right. So let's take a look and see what we can see here on our chart. What's more immediate? What's likely to happen? So ultimately, we can see that we had the major retracements down, or corrections, just standardized corrections that came down to all basically ticking off all three of our key areas here. So we actually came right down, consolidated on the 38.2% Fibonacci retracement zone, and that was all of that area there. And we kind of touched on here, this then flipped into support at 50. We've actually now also got support here at the 618, and most recently, bouncing back up. Now, we actually kind of got a close above that 786, but it was barely there, and it pulled it right back down again today. And I think that was ultimately, Chris, because there was a bigger macro piece where the entire market was correcting at the time. If that wasn't the case, there wasn't that big macro thing occurring, I think this would have continued to the upside. And we can see how it broke here on the RSI as well. So there was plenty of space on the RSI. The volumes were still good, but I think the overall crypto asset class as a whole kind of just took a bearish turn, or a correctives turn, for today. So nonetheless, Vechain has held up quite well, I believe. So let's go ahead and pull this into that 4-hourly view, Chris, and just see what's going on. Here we can see how that volume was relatively flat, and we had a little spike here, and most recently it's come up quite nicely. But it's actually starting to decrease on these 4-hour candles, right? So all of these are starting to decrease on the volumes. We're almost overbought, but has corrected quite nicely on the RSI, currently at 56 on this 4-hour chart. So ultimately, that's actually not too bad. Ideally, we want this volume to come down a little bit more, or either spike up nicely. And there isn't a lot of space here to go to the upside at this point on this 4-hourly chart. So you probably want the volume to drop off a little bit, trade sideways, get the RSI a little bit lower, and then get that volume kicking back in. But let's see what the hourly view is showing us as well. Okay, here we can see how that volumes have spiked up, but actually started flattening out and even decreasing a tiny little bit. So the hourly view supports pretty much the same as the 4-hourly view. The only exception is that we're actually much lower on the RSI. So the RSI is actually indicating that we were low. We were down here at 35 on the hourly chart, and we're actually in at 45 now. So there's a lot more space to the upside on this hourly chart. With that being said, we'd have to have significant volume increases in order to move the price much further up. If we trade sideways though, we can climb a little way here, but we won't get to anything too impressive. We'll probably top out in the same kind of way that we did here. So I imagine we're just going to start trading sideways for a little bit longer, Chris, until the volumes correct a little bit lower and then spike up again. With that being said though, it does look very, very bullish. Ultimately, this project is incredibly undervalued, even at these prices, isn't it, Chris? And I think it's got a lot of potential to continue growing. So let's pull this up into our daily view once again, and just talk a little bit about what prices that we're going after. So we know that the RSI is about midway through on the 4-hourly and about just below 50 on the 1-hourly view. We know that that's actually pretty good, but the volume's quite high and it's going flat. So therefore, the most likely scenario here is we'll trade sideways. The RSI will then peter around the kind of 50% level, the 50 level here, and not do too much. So until the volumes decrease and the RSI drops down to a lower level, somewhere between 30 and 40, I think we'll start seeing that next swing to the upside. The first price target that we're looking for Vechain, Chris, comes in at 8 cents. And after that, we have 11.4, followed by 14.7 and 16.8. So a lot like the other article, this particular piece here, where they're talking about, ultimately going after a few key areas at 17 cent and 63. The 17 cent definitely is the top end of what we're looking at in terms of our short-term Fibonacci extension levels. The bigger picture absolutely would have these levels in there, not a problem. So ultimately, Chris, I think, VeChain is definitely getting ready to start moving again. And as long as it holds above those key levels, as mentioned earlier, then I think we're going to start seeing some price discovery. There'll be a little bit of trading sideways, maybe for a few days or so, just to correct things in terms of volume and the RSI, just a little bit, nothing too major there. And then I think we're going to start seeing some price discovery on the VET token once again. And obviously, for those people who think nothing has ever happened with VeChain, it's gained significantly in the, since March, right? And I'm going to show you this. Just here. So this is March, and this was the high level here. That's 4,000%. Let me just make sure I get that on the head down here. I don't want to misrepresent this in any way. But as of March 13th, 2020, this thing has had significant growth of 4,000%, Chris. Most recently, if I pull it down to the current price, that's 3,300%. So it's had significant gains if you were smart enough to get into this project in March. And if not, fear not, because even I wasn't in this project that early. I didn't get in. I think it must have been probably, I'm going to be honest with you guys, it was about July. So let's just hypothetically say I bought it at the high point. I don't think it was quite the high point, but let's say I did. I've made 128% growth. Not as much as Chris, who's sitting juicy rewards, but nonetheless, some very, very good rewards nonetheless. So VeChain is definitely one of those projects that I wake up every morning, Chris, and I just appreciate it. I know it's not going anywhere. It's got fantastic partnerships. And we talk about that a lot on this channel, but this thing is looking really good. I just suggest that everyone does their own research. Do not just listen to us on this channel. Do not listen to any other YouTuber. The only person responsible for your financial decisions is yourselves. So I do recommend doing as much research as you can. And I do suggest that VeChain is a good project to do some research in, because I believe that VeChain is an absolute powerhouse of blockchain technology. Anything you want to add, Chris?
Just that, it's nice to hear that you're also waking up in the same way as I do, thinking, VeChain is an absolute monster. Like for me, so undervalued. I'm starting to sound like we're paid to shill the coin. We're not. It is just such a fantastic project, in my opinion. But like Nick says, go do your own research. I mean, I've seen more than 3,000% return on my investment, which is mammoth, right? So yeah, it's definitely worth looking into it. And I still think there's lots and lots of movement price-wise in this particular project, just because it's so undervalued. And I don't know, I've been saying this an awful long time on this channel, the whole time we've been on YouTube. So yeah, it's nice to see that it's starting to move. I do think that's going to continue. Go look into it, guys. Go do your research.
Fantastic. So if you found this useful, informative, go ahead and hit that like button. We both really do appreciate it. And if you happen to be new to the channel and not yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. By doing so, you're going to be kept up to date with all of the fantastic VeChain news that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And with all that said and done, we hope everyone has a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Take care.